All right, and we are back for part 2 of Star Trek Resurgence, continuing right now.
Nilly.
I'm good. Help me with him.
Let's get this off. Medical. Got one wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good. You gotta be more careful. I just got here. I'm not ready to see you two get blown to space dust just yet. Now let's get you down to sickbay.
Great.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
The Resolute suffered damage from the exploding bolts. But we've successfully moored to the station. The ship is secure. Our systems are coming back online, but we have a fair amount of repairs before we're ready to go.
Put a halt on the roll-off of Starbase engineering staff. We have a schedule to keep. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me. What a debacle. I was caught with my pants down. Not even on my own ship when the wave hit. I had to go running out of the Starbase commander's office just to... But you followed my order. I appreciate that. Hell, I'm relieved.
You're the captain of this ship. You give orders, and I'll execute them.
That's right. But you see my problem, don't you? They were all against me on that bridge. And they were ready to go against my orders. I'm not blind to it.
I don't speak for anyone else, but you know I'm in your corner. You're my captain, and I'll stand behind you.
Well, it takes more than the two of us to run this ship, unfortunately. Oh. Drink?
Shit!
Sure.
I swear to God I meant to say no thanks. I did not mean to yell, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Mortifying. Drinking on the first day.
Your predecessor, Commander Sutherland, is missed. But for all the adoration of the crew, including the senior staff, I just couldn't rely on him. He would question, undermine me in front of the crew. I sometimes think they still hear his voice. That sort of thing is a way of lingering. And you can't argue with a ghost.
Captain, perhaps you and the crew would be better served if you look at this mission as a fresh start.
You can never really leave the past behind.
If we don't, you can never move forward.
Now, this won't be easy. But I'm glad I have you here with me.
Glad to be here, Captain.
And despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir.
I really don't want it.
On second thought, better to keep my wits about me.
Of course. Ready or not, here
This captain... Okay, so I do occasionally want to pause to, like, just discuss the story. Diaz did not wait for his, compatriot. It's going to take me a second to learn anybody's name. So far, I'm at Paul. Ensign Paul. That's all I know. Diaz did not wait for his compatriot to go in out of some sort of chivalry. I wanted her in that, like, entrance tube or whatever it was, because she just got knocked out and she could have a concussion. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So, like, you get in there first, and I really, really, really did not want to have a big conversation about it while there was, like, all of this, like, electrical surge coming in. So I just wanted to explain that. I'm thinking to myself, she's just suffered an injury of unknown severity. Based on the markings, I assume she's a Trill. She may or may not have a symbiote. I know enough about Star Trek to know that the symbiote can suffer damage where the Trill host otherwise wouldn't be aware of it right away. So I'm like, we have to get her in there. Diaz is sound of mind and body. Nothing bad has happened. He can get in there second. And she's like, let me save your life for a change. Lieutenant or petty officer? I think they're petty officers. Petty officer, I literally just saved your life a second ago. So it's not a matter of like let's have a big contest about it. Just get into the tube and then we'll both be safe, and then we can just buy replicator rations or whatever we do to congratulate each other on a job narrowly done, if not well done. Secondly, I super did not mean to take that drink. Thirdly, when it was, do we blow the docking clamps or repel them? The captain gave a direct order. It's my first day. I'm not here to be just infinitely deferential to the captain, but I feel like Rydek is here. She's faced with two equally plausible ideas, one of which would be likely to... Like I've got the ops officer saying, if you reverse the polarity, you're going to propel the two crew members off into space. And yeah, we've got transporter beams, but they break all the time in Star Trek. So I felt like that was going to put them into a lot more danger. We've already got debris peppering the hull. Now we're going to send the crew members jetting off of the hull into the debris field. That feels much more dangerous. I don't know that we're going to be able to transport them back. And I've got the captain, who I met 5 minutes ago, who specifically said, I always want you to follow my orders. I'm letting you guys know, always going to blindly follow the orders of a man who I increasingly recognize is not particularly confident and feeling up to his command. He seems to have a lot of... It's very concerning to me to have a captain of a starship saying, they're all out to get me. You heard them. They were all against me. It's like, okay, why don't we just have a quick chat about how I'm not out to get you. I can't speak for them just yet, but I'll let you know if I get the sense that everybody is out to get you. So, granted, that conversation came second, but he had specifically said, if I give you an order, I want you to do it. He's yelling at me, I'm giving you a direct order. He's been in command of this ship and knows it better than I do. And even if he doesn't know all the situation, it's like, shoot, let's just do it. I do feel like this is the better course of action, to blow the docking clamps, and then, it feels like the better chance of survival for everybody. Was there anything else that I wanted to cover from what we've seen so far? Nothing urgent. Aside from that, I've just tried to introduce myself around to the crew and not try to come in and say, hi everyone, I'm Boss Big Shot and I'm in charge right now, but rather, hi everyone, I'm the new XO. I'm not here to step on anybody's toes. I'm here to learn how the ship works right now and get to know the crew. And then if after that changes might be appropriate, or I need to start being in command, then we'll do it. But let's not go in and say it's my way or the highway right off the start, especially when everybody's name is right here. I'm not even looking at the screen. Commander Ermot there had said, hey, there's going to be some trepidation. I think finally, Commander Westbrook here, let's actually read this. Respected Jara's inclination to protect the crew when Starbase ordered her to disengage the docking clamps, but he was troubled when Jara seemed unwilling to follow Captain Solano's orders without trying to explain the situation. Right, everything's blowing up. We don't have time for a big long chat about it. Anyway, ultimately he was dismayed when Jara followed Captain Solano's orders and put the crew on the hull at risk. Apparently they also would have been at risk if we did the polarity thing. I'm just saying that's what Commander Ermot said. And maybe we'll read through... You know what? Let's read through some of these. Jara reaffirmed Captain Solano's trust and confidence in her by demonstrating loyalty, honesty, and integrity in the aftermath of the crisis at the space dock. Lieutenant Bedrosian admired Jara's instincts to protect the crew when Starbase ordered her to disengage the docking clamps, but she was worried when Jara seemed willing to follow Captain Solano's orders without trying to explain the situation. Okay, that's fine then. She was disappointed when Jara followed Captain Solano's orders and put the crew on the hull at risk. Again, like as noted. Commander Ermot was glad Jara's first instinct was to protect the crew, but he was concerned when Jara didn't explain the situation. Commander Ermot respected Jara's confidence in following Captain Solano's orders, even though he had his own conflicting feelings about putting the crew on the hull at risk. Hi, everyone. So did I. I wasn't there saying, like, oh, this'll be fine. I had two options that would put the crew at risk. It's a good thing I'm not, like, forced to, like, account for this. Lieutenant Commander Chovak approved of Jara's decision to follow Captain Solano's orders to blow the bolts. And then Ensign Calloway was grateful for Jara's helpful guidance when he was nervous on the shuttle flight. Otherwise unrelated to all of the other topics since then. Anyway, that's enough talk. I just wanted to cover some of the things that have happened recently, and now we will proceed.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar.
Oh boy, this has big, like, Star Trek the Motion Picture vibes. With the musical score and, like, the slow pan of the starship coming in, or actually going out.
That should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me? Engage.
Simple, but effective.
Oh.
Easy. Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look so good.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Commander, help me get her inside.
feel like I could probably, like, carry an EpiPen or something that would have this stuff that I need.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him, but he'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your duridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
Rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the duridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
It does make me unique, but it's not a burden at all. I'm honored to be Kobliad, to represent my people.
As you should be. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. The more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. I have to admit, I was concerned when I heard what happened on the bridge. You just followed Solano's orders despite having better options in front of you.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship, and everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure's almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Lieutenant Bedrosian.
I came to see if you were okay. We were all pretty worried on the bridge. No one knew what was happening.
I'm feeling much better. Thank you. It's just part of who I am.
You don't have to explain to me. I understand. I'm just glad you're okay. You trusted me earlier with the shields, and I appreciated that. I want you to know that I have your back.
Thank you.
Now, Carter, the emissions that gave you that burn are quite unusual, like everything else that goes with this storm. That's a combination of hyronalin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
It's good to see you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duval. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Ah, come on. You know you can't get rid of me that easy.
Don't push me, Diaz. You do not want to see me try.
No, nope. I am not getting on your bad side.
I am a formidable enemy. Millie was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. and I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you, instead of tiptoeing around it.
It's okay, Miranda. You can tell me anything.
I know that.
Then come on. Just spit it out.
I'm trying. Let me talk. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
You don't have to explain it. I feel the same way. There is something between us.
So, do you want to find out what that something is? If it's there for you, and it's there for me, why not give it a try?
Are you kidding me? I just said yes.
I wanted to be sure I heard that right.
Sorry to interrupt, but the patient needs to rest if he wants to get back to his old self.
Of course. I'll see you again soon.
By the way, have I told the two of you how much I hate the science officer? I've really got several lines of prepared text on this.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Shield integrity holding.
We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it any clearer.
We won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
I'm sure. Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation.
I'm... okay.
We're pulling in debris. I'm on it.
To deflect the asteroids. Okay, get rid of that one. Can I get the other one, please? Yeah, this one. Get it away from the shuttlecraft. Okay, and now this one.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17, 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
I really feel like moving the shuttlecraft is better than moving the rock or the ship, the big ship.
Got it.
Someone's working hard on the bridge. Got the shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock. The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
If he wasn't okay, I assume he would say something.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter? Carter Diaz. Sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
Well, it wasn't all me. I got some help from upstairs.
A bombastic approach to clearing debris. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Otari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
I don't like the probably, but...
Well, this storm is one of the strangest phenomena we've ever encountered. It's disrupted other systems. Who knows what it might do to a warp drive?
Yes, it would seem further investigation is called for.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
Okay, just super quick. I suspect that there's going to be people in the world who are not pleased that this guy is not 100% Nimoy, but I'm going to say that he's like 80% of the way there, and I have to say it's a very, very good impersonation. The only things that I knew about this game coming in is like the cover art. When you go to pick the game up, it had 3 characters, and I looked at one of them and said, wow, that looks a little bit like Spock. And then I was like, well, then again, it's a Vulcan. You know, they all sort of have, not all of them, but there's a lot of Vulcans with that dark hair and that particular haircut and the pointed ears. So it's probably not him. And now here we go. I will say this, the other actors who have taken on the role of Spock, including Zachary Quinto and there's one other that I can think of, they don't make any attempt at all to do Leonard Nimoy. They are very much their own spin on the character. And like, that's fine. But I do like the fact that if we're going to do this next generation or possibly post next generation based on the style of the uniforms, and Spock is going to be in it, that they are making a strong, credible attempt to say, here is that vision of Spock, and we're not going to do something that's like wildly different. So no, I like this performance so far.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
Your experience comes from the past. But our present situation calls for it.
True enough.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. 2 formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Elydia and Hotari. Elydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Elydians have shared a mining operation there. The Elydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Elydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
How is it the Hotari were able to turn the tables and take the mines against superior forces, especially after decades in this arrangement?
Unclear. The answer to that question may be the key to a new, lasting peace, and one that I hope we can uncover during these negotiations. But it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Elydian fleet if this escalates to open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly, the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
If we could convince them, it would restore the peace. But we would need the Hotari to accept a difficult compromise.
Made all the more difficult by the emotions flaring on both sides, no doubt.
Neither the Elydians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Elydians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
The Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Elydium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the ion storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Elydian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
If it's keeping the two sides talking instead of shooting at each other, that actually helps us negotiate a peace.
And we'll take advantage of that as long as it works in our favor.
And when it doesn't?
All the more reason to learn as much about it as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught unprepared, should the energy anomaly continue to fluctuate. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case.
I'm honored to be included in the negotiation process.
You're not just included, you are instrumental.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
As we go forward, I just wanted to note, I didn't agree with Solano there just because, again, he's the captain. I feel like everybody at the table is jumping to a conclusion. Let me say this. Absent additional information, yes, this one group of people provide the technology, and then this other group of people provided all of the manual labor. Yes, that does sound exploitative, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. There could have been a mutually beneficial deal that something changed in the terms, something new in what, new information was learned. The other two options on screen were like, well, they'd still be exploited. I don't feel like I have enough information to know if they are currently being exploited. So that's why I was hesitant to say that. I did get some updates there about Ambassador Spock. Notice Jara's support of Captain Salerno and her distinct perspective on the dynamics of the Hotari-Elydian conflict during the mission briefing. Ambassador Spock also noted Jara's humility when presented with her back-channel mission. Good. I'm aiming at humble. There's always room to boast after you've done something successfully. You don't need to start off with that. So I just wanted to note that if we get there and the Hotari are like, oh yeah, they treat us like slaves, our children don't get an education, all we do is work in the mines, we're going to be 100% on their side. If they say, well, we were going just fine on our 50-50 split, but then we decided, no, actually what we want is a 90-10 split, and we can just steal their technology and replicate it and cut them out of the deal, that is exploitation. It's just going in the opposite direction. Like, this was supposed to be mutually beneficial. Let's find a way to get it back on track so that nobody's being exploited. That would be my goal in it. And I don't feel like we have enough information, except there was an arrangement, now there's not, and it's escalating towards armed conflict. Let's stop anybody from getting dead over it.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
When you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable scientific phenomena.
We'll try to restrain ourselves.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
I can press buttons. I'll get there eventually.
So... I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something.
Hold on. Let me just get in here and... Okay, now how is that not enough?
Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
God damn it. Also, you can read that during the warp core startup routine, the something field generators work together to produce a low integrity warp field. When the warp core is engaged, the field energizes a cascade amplification with additional energy, blah, 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 blah. You know something? I'm gonna, like, if you want to pause and read that, this seems like a lot of Trekno-babble, as they say.
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variants out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Your tricorder can record and analyze data. Looking through it will reveal the unseen. Use X to equip or holster your tricorder. Right trigger to scan glowing objects. You must be close to some object to scan them. Watch the frame of the screen to see if you are too far away. Okay, with any luck with a slight edit, what just happened is I read through this tricorder usage screen and then I pressed X because X was the button to choose to scan the warp coils, and it turns out that X is the button to use for tricorder usage. It also turns out that X is the button to return to the main menu that you see down there, and if you press it at this screen, it makes you restart this entire scene from the beginning, and you cannot skip dialogue. We're going to go forward here, but fingers crossed we were able to cut out all of the replicant. Just so that you guys know, I did make all of the same dialogue choices leading up to this, so hopefully there won't be any discrepancies. Now let's very carefully press B to resume. Okay, now we're on to new stuff again. I feel like this is the nacelle, isn't it? Oh, I guess maybe I have to... I mean, we're looking for... Oh, it's much lower than I thought it was. So... Some objects you scan will activate a deep scan. During a deep scan, use LB and RB to switch between different scan modes and search for glowing objects. The mode indicators in the tricorder will blink if there's an object to find in that mode. If you have scanned all objects in the... When you have scanned all objects, the frame will change color. Hold left trigger to analyze data and finish the scan. Press B. Okay, he's moving on his own right now. Okay, so I want to scan this. Static field. In their standby state, warp coils produce a residual electromagnetic field. No deviations detected. Okay. The leading coils show evidence of routine maintenance to repair microabrasion from neutrino interactions. And nothing in biological scan mode because it's a warp coil and not a human being. Now, chem is still blinking. Oh, it's because it's on the other side, isn't it? I have to scan the other nacelle. Oh, wait. No, there's a different one down here. The center coils guide the warp field through its focal event, maintaining a collimated thrust vector. No fractures detected. Okay, so there's nothing else in the chemical field. And I've already looked at the radiation field. So I feel like now I have to left trigger.
I checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
You're the one with the important job to do. Keeping the captain safe. And Ambassador Spock.
It doesn't always feel that way. Baking in the hot sun, standing guard next to an empty shuttlecraft. But it has its moments.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now.
Go on. Do your job. I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back.
You better be.
I feel like Kisser is a little forward in front of the captain.
Seeing you.
And the ambassador. Like, we're on duty. That's my concern about it.
Etzelarda Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now. Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solana, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you've come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours. And this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illidians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation, the reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here. But that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Illidian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war!
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
I don't think she said walk up onto the thing. This feels very, very forward.
Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydick, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Alidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Alidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours!
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
I can't speculate on something that never happened, Your Majesty. Sadly, that opportunity never came for the Kobliad.
No, it did not. But we'd be wise to learn from their example, before we too find ourselves facing extinction. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Alidians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Alidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. Don't tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Alidians?
Well, if I have to choose between the two...
Only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
Then you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that. I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Okay, so even with the hopeful, fingers crossed re-edit, I feel like this is a good place to call it for part 2. So we'll see you again for part 3 in just a short time.